Good afternoon and welcome to the April 15th Committee of the Whole meeting, which I now call to order. Madam Clerk, please ensure that the record of the meeting reflects that Mayor Haxon and Councillor Lahey are both absent with notice. And I'll be the acting mayor for today. So, moving on to our next item on the agenda, are there any declarations of interest from Council? Seeing none, I will proceed. And I'll share our land acknowledgement. The town of East Gwillimbury recognizes and acknowledges the lands originally used and occupied by the First Peoples of the Williams Treaties, First Nations, and other Indigenous peoples. And on behalf of Council, I thank them for sharing this land. We also acknowledge the Chippewas of Georgina Island First Nation as EG's closest First Nation community and recognize the unique relationship the Chippewas have with the lands and waters of this territory. They are the water protectors and environmental stewards of these lands, and we join them in these responsibilities. So next up is on our agenda is community announcements. I'll mention that we have the Run for South Lake. Mayor Haxon is the team captain, and to date we're up to $37,000 in donations that we've raised for South Lake. That's great news. And we're hopeful that Mayor Haxon will receive the Mayor's Cup Challenge Award this year. So if we can do whatever we can to bump those numbers up, as Councillor Persicini used to say, either give us your feed or give us your money. So please consider joining the team and helping out. You can reach out to Gina Casey at our office for assistance. Are there any other announcements from Council at this moment? Councillor Carruthers.
Thank you. I wanted a big shout out to the more than a dozen residents who showed up this past Saturday to clean up Doan Road. We collected over 50 bags of litter. It's sad that there was 50 bags of litter to be picked up, but hats off to the residents who worked for hours cleaning that up, and to Councillors Foster and Crone, who also lent their hands to the pickup, and to our staff who came by yesterday and picked up all those bags. It's much appreciated, and thank you to everyone who doesn't litter on our roads. Thank you.
All right, thank you, Councillor Carruthers. Are there any other announcements? Seeing none, I will move on to deputations. Madam Clerk, I understand that we do have a representative here from BILD today with an interest to make a deputation, but couldn't get the deputation request in on time. I would ask Council, could I have a mover that we waive procedure to allow this deputation? Councillor Foster, all those in favour? Carried. All right. Please step up to the lectern. And your name is Victoria?
Yes.
And I kindly remind you that you have 5 minutes.
Perfect.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Welcome.
Good afternoon, Acting Mayor Crone and members of committee. My name is Victoria Mortelliti, and I'm the Senior Manager of Policy and Advocacy with the Building Industry and Land Development Association, more commonly known as BILD. I'm here today on behalf of BILD and our York Forum members, many of whom you know very well through their ongoing work with the town to advance both residential and non-residential development. On behalf of BILD and our members, I'd like to thank you for the opportunity to speak with you today on item I.1, Development Charge Deferral Policies. We appreciate that the town is looking at ways to support development through this report, especially at a time when the market is facing significant challenges. Specifically, the housing crisis is placing unprecedented pressure on our industry. It's becoming more and more difficult to build and sell homes in this environment. Beyond that, the ongoing US-Canada trade dispute is adding another layer of uncertainty, making it even harder for potential buyers to feel confident when entering the market. The urgency here in East Gwillimbury is real and it is measurable. In February of this year, just 18 single-family homes were sold across the entire town, and 0 condominium sales were recorded. These numbers tell a clear story, and they highlight the critical need for policies that actively support housing development. We've reviewed the staff report and support the proposed development charge deferrals for non-residential expansions and unserviced lands. However, we are concerned that the recommendations exclude residential development, which is where financial relief is urgently needed. While the report acknowledges the challenges of non-residential projects, we believe the same consideration should be extended to residential development, and we would welcome the opportunity to discuss this further. That being said, BILD's ask today is straightforward. We are respectfully asking Council to direct municipal staff to engage with BILD and industry representatives to explore and develop practical development charge relief options specifically targeted at residential development in the town of East Gwillimbury. The need for municipal partnership at this time is clear. Collaboration between municipal staff and the development community is absolutely essential to unlocking the solutions we all need to see. With timely and focused dialogue, we do believe that we can bring forward actionable recommendations that will help support the town's housing objectives and financial goals. We thank you again for your time, we thank you for your consideration, and we do hope we can move forward as partners in building the town of East Gwillimbury together. Thank you.
Thank you very much, and under 5 minutes. Could I have a mover to receive this presentation, please, or this deputation? Moved by Councillor Carruthers. Are there any questions for our presenter? Councillor Roy DiClemente.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. I don't know if it's necessarily a question, but it's more of a comment. The deputant notes that only 18 single-family homes were sold in February of last February. The challenge is that your members are not necessarily releasing new lots. And in fact, the sales that have been taking place in our community have been exceeding your members' expectations. So they're happier because the market in East Gwillimbury is actually stronger than it is in other areas. As I understand it, this issue, the housing issue, is not unique to East Gwillimbury. It is across the GTA. In fact, I saw an article that quotes your organization as well as some data from Altus Group that said that last year's sales were 80% below the 10-year average, and that this is basically the worst year since 1990 for your industry. And so that being said, it's not development charges that are causing that, because mortgage rates are coming down, prices are coming down, and inventory is at an all-time high. I would argue that it's not development charges, but there's something much greater at work here that I would not support extending this relief for residential. The purpose of this meeting, or the purpose of this report, was to be able to diversify our tax base and to have non-residential taxes support our operations and support our existing businesses that are trying to expand. So that's just my thoughts, Mr. Chair. Thank you. But thank you for coming today.
Would you like to respond?
Sure. I can definitely acknowledge development charges are just one piece of what's hindering development right now. And while, sure, members could be saying that they are selling homes, there is still a problem. And it is across the GTA, it's provincial, it's national. We definitely do acknowledge that. But every little bit helps, and all we're requesting is just a conversation with staff to go over, potential relief options. It can expand beyond development charges. It can go further than that. But BILD's ask today is just merely a conversation with staff.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions, comments? Okay. We have a mover to receive this. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much for coming out. Okay. Moving right along to item F, it's presentations, and we have one from Courtney Cassidy and N. Zeng on behalf of Sharon Museum and Gardens. Please join us at the lectern. Welcome.
Thank you, Acting Mayor Crone. Am I visible in the on the webcam? We need a little. Okay, it's clearly not set for someone 5 feet tall. Hello, Mayor and Council. Thank you for having us today. I am on the Sharon Museum and Garden Board of Directors and also part of the fundraising campaign cabinet there. And we are excited to be with you today. In 2024, the board of the Sharon Temple Museum Society, now the Sharon Museum and Gardens, embarked on the creation of a new strategic plan. As part of this plan, a new vision and mission for the grounds was conceived. This included prioritizing wider engagement and growth with our community while reflecting on the values of the Children of Peace and the town's founders over 200 years ago. Next slide, please. Our focus will be on the creation of exhibit space, event spaces, and cultural opportunities that are affordable, accessible, and welcoming to our community. We will maximize the buildings that are currently on the grounds, the meeting spaces that are there, and the event spaces, and also spaces that will come in the future. As we develop our plans, we know that there is a synergy and an alignment with the municipality's strategic plan, and we look forward to working together alongside you to achieve our goals. As you know, we have officially launched our fundraising campaign to achieve a number of goals, namely to provide a means to be a financially stable and sustainable organization, allowing us to be recognized as a cultural center of the community, truly a place that our community members can come, return to, and keep coming back for a variety of programs, events, and exhibits. Our first bump in the road on this journey came when, sadly, the Howard House, which was slated to be our new visitor center and moved onto the property, it was destroyed in a fire this past summer, as we know. We were, of course, devastated, but we are so grateful to the team at Welland Development Corporation for stepping up to honor the agreement and to produce and deliver an alternative that we think will benefit our community in an even bigger way. I'm happy to introduce Zeng now from Welland Development Corporation to share more about the project.
Thank you. Good afternoon, Acting Mayor and members of Council. My name is Zeng. I'm the Principal Architect at ZEVIP Consulting. I'm very pleased to share with you the concept design of the new visitor center at the Sharon Museum and Gardens. And that's the project that we vision will be enrich the experience of visitors at this nationally historical significant site, as well as it will foster a greater community engagement. As Cassidy already gave you a background of the project and the future strategies, I think I will just dive straight into the architectural design of this building. Can we go next slide, please? The new 5,000 square feet visitor center is thoughtfully situated in the existing Sharon Temple site. And we're respecting to its heritage by carefully selecting the building forms, materials, and textures that we can echo back to its historical architectural language and its surrounding environment. Our goal is to introduce and the development of contemporary building forms that will coexist harmoniously with the original structure to enhance but not overpower or oversee the inherent beauty and its unique characteristic. And you can see from this building, from the renderings of the first initial concept, the exterior designs emphasize a very clean lines that draws a very strong connection with the existing structure of Sharon Temple. And we introduce major 3 building materials to finishing up and into this initial concept. First of all is a precast concrete wall panels, where you can see the majority of the building facade is wrapped with precast wall panels that has also, not just brings the durability, but this wall panels will come with a classic vertical wood siding patterns that are engraved into the surface. So it also delivers a combination of a classic and modern aesthetics. Secondly is the natural wood cladding walls right at both entrances, which creates a point of interest, a point of warm and welcoming, and also because of the contracts with the wall panels beyond, and he automatically announce himself becomes access point for this new building. Last but not on the list, this large glazing on both ends of the building, which serves a great opportunity of maximize the using of the natural lights on both ends of this building, which serves the gallery space and the community space. Those large glazings propose openness to this building, but also generates a great view to the temple and its landscape. Sustainability is always a core role or core element through our designs. We're planning to test the feasibilities of using energy efficient systems, such as geothermal and heat pump systems, which will significantly reduce the energy consumption for the operation of this building. Addition to that, we will design with energy efficient fixtures, both light fixtures and plumbing fixtures, as well as very well insulated building envelope systems. And this will together projecting this building to be 45 to 60% energy saving annually. Addition to that, we're introducing a very durable construction materials, such as the concrete wall panels, as we just mentioned, together with interior exposed steel structures. And that will significantly reduce the cost of the building in both maintenance and operation in the long way to go. Beyond the building, can we go next slide, please? This is just showing different options that we are working with the members and stakeholders. We're exploring different opportunities, different shapes and materials, but all of them can be traced back to the existing historical site. Such as this one, we're working with a natural wood cladding with the metal fascia and the roof panels, which call back to agricultural building forms. We can talk about these forms later if anyone is interested, but this I just want to bring up, and this is ongoing process right now. We're working with the members and stakeholders and try to achieve ultimate building forms to fit what's needed. Can we go next slide, please? Beyond the architecture, this center is not only about deepening the connection between the museum and the wider public, but we also see it as an access point and a vibrant urban community hubs that should support a variety of different community activities. So let's take a look at the programs that we have had within the 5,000 square feet of interior spaces. As we're entering from this natural clad wall spaces through the vestibule, we're entering into a welcoming lobby that is together with front desk and gifting areas. And this is a clear point of gathering and a clear point of arrival. This place is overseen from the office areas for function and security purposes. As we move north through the corridor, we're entering a 1,500 square feet of gallery space. The design of the gallery space is to be flexible. Not only it will be able to handle most of the exhibits locally or internationally, but we envision this space can also handle most of the local community gatherings, educational programs, and many others to come. If we're looking down from the welcoming lobby, there is the community space. That space is, we envision that to handle our regular community meetings, presentations, and many smaller activities. As well as the small space can be a supportive space when there is a greater events happening at the gathering space, at the gallery space. For example, it can be the cafeteria serving food if you have some major events happening in the gallery. So both of the space is planning to be handling their own task without disruption from each other, but also can program together for bigger events. The second floor has the critical space that supports the museum activities. There's a 3 access point to the second floor, both through the staircase and one through the elevator. There are the artifact storage, library, and also there's a shared office, lounge, and a kitchenette area. This is the area where co-op programs can happen and supporting summer students, and also supports a space for a temporary workstation for research staffs and individuals. So ultimately, I think this building will not only elevate the overall visitor experience, and it will strengthen the relationship between the museum and the broader community, but also more importantly, it provides a valuable educational resources for the generations to come for the community. And that's my part of the presentation. I will give the rest of the city to finish that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next slide, thank you. This is an outstanding opportunity. It really gives us the chance to meet our shared objectives with the town of East Gwillimbury. This revitalization as part of the Sharon Core will include gallery space, programming space, many of the things that we can.
But there's so many, like, look, this one I have the agreement.
Can I hear, is
It's
someone
done.
talking?
There's like 3 things left.
There we go. As outlined in the materials you received, this project does, there are 3 important objectives of our strategic plan that our upcoming fundraising will help to address. First, to change our financial performance, ensuring a long-term stability and sustainability for the organization, greater community involvement and engagement on an ongoing basis with the wider community, and expanding partnerships with the town of East Gwillimbury and other cultural organizations in our community. So this can be part of the cultural center of our municipality. Last slide, please. Not last slide, next slide. Our board, our volunteers, all the stakeholders are involved are really, really excited to be embarking on this journey. And we look forward to reimagining this space and working with council and the wider community to reimagine what this cultural asset could be in East Gwillimbury. We thank you for your time and happy to answer any questions if needed.
Thank you very much. This looks transformative. Councillor Johns, could I ask you to move that? Receipt of this? Yeah, great. Are there any questions from committee on this? This is exciting stuff. Who'd like to go first? Councillor Foster.
Thank you. I'll be honest, I'm having a hard time wrapping my head around the contemporary design versus being more sympathetic to heritage. But I understand some of the things that were said. So I don't know if someone would like to speak to that thought or not. But my question is, and maybe I'm getting too far ahead, is there any plans on what's going to happen to the old gatehouse, which was the original Queensville Library?
Thank you for your question, Councillor. Through you, Mayor Crone, there are ongoing, regarding the Heritage Building, there's the look and feel. This is an ongoing process, ongoing discussion about the space. I don't believe there are specific, we don't have specific plans yet. We're really just at a conceptual point. If we could go back to that site plan, I wonder if that would be helpful. What I can say is we are definitely in the early stages of the plans for the grounds, keeping in mind that the visitor center is really the first piece to move into the space.
Okay. Are there any other questions? Councillor Roy DiClemente.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Through you to Mr. Zeng, I imagine that you're used to doing grocery stores and commercial buildings, and so this must be quite a project for you to be able to sink your teeth into. And I just wanted to commend you for having some consideration for how special this site is to not only to the organization that you're working for, but to the community as a whole, and being respectful of that and being mindful of that connection is important. And I just, because you're the representative from Welland, I wanted to thank you and the organization you represent for following through on your commitment to the STMS board. I was years ago when these conversations first started taking place, I was in the room as well, and I know how much this facility is needed for this organization, and delivering on that need is important. I know we've addressed the zoning issue through you, Mr. Chair, to Ms. Cassidy. I know we've addressed the zoning issue. When do you expect that you'll be submitting a site plan?
That's a great.
Well, as Cassidy was just mentioned, we're at a very early stage.
Okay.
As you can see, the building form, we started testing a different method or different principle of architectures on this project. Mm-hmm. What we show you is only the first initial concept, which we thought that the concept is not to overtaking the characteristic of the Sharon Temple, but to providing enhancement and supporting the activities that we want this building to bring to the communities. I think we will have a much more clear plan once we get to maybe 3, maybe 4 concepts that all the members of the chamber, all in the public, everyone is satisfying with what we're presenting, and we will have a clear plan for when we're going to submitting for the permits.
Thank you.
And if I may, Mayor, through you, I did just get a little more detail, pardon me. Councillor Foster, we are making plans to move those pieces to different parts of the grounds. So no destruction of any of those beautiful pieces. They will be moved and put somewhere else on the grounds.
I didn't expect there would. I just thought that there might be something there that I wasn't thinking of.
Councillor Carruthers.
Thank you, and I echo my colleagues' comments about thank you for doing this, and it's something that's very needed. I love the site plan, but I also echo Councillor Foster's comments about the look of and feel of the building. I thought we were looking for a replica of the Howard House, and instead it looks more like a replica of some of the warehouses we're building over on Woodbine. And so I'm not loving the look of it. I would love to see it looking more heritage-like, so I'm glad that you're saying it's early in the process. But everything else about it I love, so thank you.
Okay. Are there any other comments? Councillor Roy DiClemente.
I just wanted to clarify, I believe Councillor Foster was referring to the gatehouse and not necessarily the repurposed containers that are already on, like, we call them the tin cans, but the offices where you are now, those are they staying as well?
Pardon, sorry, through,
To the microphone, please. Ms. Woodjet?
Please step up to the lectern. Please, Laurie.
Sorry, Laurie Woodjet, Executive Director. Councillor Roy DiClemente, the plan is to hopefully move the Queensville Library onto the site somewhere. So we want to create a permanent exhibit in there, potentially an old general store, and it needs to move inside the gates to be protected, and the tin cans going.
Because they were part of an expired temporary site plan.
Oh, 100%, and they are going.
Okay.
Since I'm up here, if I could just address a number of your concerns about the modernality of this building. I mean, you've looked at two designs, one with the pitched roof or the hip roof, and one with the flat roof. The board is torn and divided among these designs right now. There's a lot of thought that putting a modern-looking building, because we don't want to compete with the temple, and the idea being that something that doesn't compete with the temple, because it's not, you can't, none of the buildings on our site are replicas, and we don't want to create a replica of a historic building. That's not what we're interested in doing. So like I said, we're working with Welland and Nan and June Lee and trying to come to a consensus between the two designs or the two thought processes. But the idea is, number one, not to compete with the temple, and number two is to come to a final design that's both welcoming to the site and is sustainable for us and potentially less expensive to operate in the future. So that is where we're at. Any other questions before I sit down? I'm sorry.
Committee, any other questions?
No, I just wanted to comment that for me, perhaps it was my time on the board, but I understood that that's the direction that was, you don't want to compete with a building as beautiful as the Sharon Temple. For me, the designs were obviously still very rough, but for me, I saw them as evoking that of, and not in a pejorative term, but in that of a barn or another structure where there was echoes of the agricultural roots that the Children of Peace had. And so it was almost like a modern version of, the storage space and that sort of thing. That was where I was going with it. But I think, being the board itself is, are the custodians of the site, and I trust their decision and in which direction they would like to go in. Certainly, the fact is that it is in a heritage district and it's on a National Historic Site. That's important, and I hope that can be evoked in some way. So, thank you, Mr. Chair.
And we have had a meeting last week with one of our board members who happens to be an architect, Adette DeBoer, and Nan and June, and I expect that we're going to see rendering number 3 in the near future, right? Okay, so.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions from committee? Oh, okay. So, from my perspective, this is exciting stuff. I'm really pleased to see you coming forward. I know, like most things, that when they are first presented, they change from where we actually land, and I'm sure that'll be your journey. And but as I said at the beginning, I think this is transformative for you, and it'll help you take better control of your future. And I know it's, as Councillor Roy DiClemente said, it's much needed. So I think that's a good thing. And I think it needs to be said that he's being quiet, but Councillor Johns, I know, played a role in this, and he's, you know, like many things, he's a catalyst, and we thank him for his leadership. So we have a motion that we receive this, and it was moved, by, I believe, by Councillor Johns, that we, sorry, staff is working.
Through you, Mr. Chair, just bear with us for a moment. Perhaps I can ask our production desk to share the last slide. There is some additional context to that resolution that was shared with members.
Okay. Oh, sorry. Councillor Johns, you had your hand up. Did you want to say anything?
Yeah, thanks, Mr. Chair. I just wanted to say briefly regarding that last slide that I know I did move the motion, but I did just want to speak to Ms. Cassidy's presentation. She was speaking about programming and relationships with the town and the museum's strategic plan. And I just wanted to identify that as the board and the committee are working through their efforts on the design phase of things, this is very important to have in this resolution of not only receiving it, but the opportunity to explore expanded partnership programming with the town. It's important because at this stage, if the museum can get a better understanding as to what could be or possibly the future needs of the municipality would be, it's important that we can be able to set up a conduit for them to be able to connect. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. So we've added this to the screen now, the addition. Be it resolved that the presentation made by C. Cassidy on behalf of the Sharon Museum and Gardens be received, and that staff be directed to work with Sharon Museum and Gardens to explore expanded partnership programming with the town of East Gwillimbury and furtherance of shared strategic goals for arts, culture, and heritage. All those in favor? And that's carried. Thank you very much, folks, for coming out, and a great presentation.
Thank you. Appreciate your time.
Okay. Now moving on to the next item on our agenda. That's item G, Parks, Recreation, and Culture, with myself in the chair. The first item we have is the Joint Parks, Recreation, and Culture and Development Services Report, PRC 2025-09, Civic Center Precinct Concept Plans. And this is another high-level presentation. So, Mr. Karmazin, I'll hand it over to you to kick it off.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. The report prepared for Council provides some high-level concept plans for the potential Civic Center precinct redevelopment. The plans provided are a starting point of what may be possible within the precinct. The plans include a concept with parks and recreation amenities. Potential mixed-use development options are also presented. I should note that there is an inaccuracy in the report with the spelling and reference to the former Judah Doan property, and staff will correct this for the public record. Our staff is recommending a comprehensive public outreach process and consultation with residents, community groups, businesses, and a potential RFP process related to the mixed-use options presented to Council. Given these concepts include the Civic Center and potential mixed-use development, further consideration of these concepts would include additional reporting back to Council, including potential benefits to the town, business cases and financial plans moving forward. Lastly, I should highlight that the Parks, Recreation and Culture amenities referenced within the concept plans are eligible for development charge funding, and staff have included these amenities in our development charges background study. Staff's available to answer any questions that council may have related to the report to council.
Thank you, Mr. Karmazin. Could I, before we get into questions, could I have a mover for this, please? Moved by Councillor Roy DeClemente. Okay. I open up to any questions from committee. Councillor Roy DeClemente, would you like to go first? You moved. You're okay? Anyone else like to? Councillor Carruthers, please go ahead.
Thanks. This is very exciting, and I do really like the reference to the potential for more gathering space. And I was just a little bit surprised at the looks of adding housing into the mix, because we're talking about the intent is to support placemaking and community uses. And as the town grows, the percentage of town land for this type of gathering is going to be significantly less as we get more people, and we're going to need these big spaces. So I really like the first layout where it's all public lands. I love that. Not so big on the other concept plans that introduce mixed use. I think we need all of that space there. I wanted to ask what concept plan number 1, which is the one that's all community use, doesn't include that extra parcel that may be conveyed to us. I'm wondering if you can speak to that.
Mr. Karmazin?
Through you, Mr. Acting Mayor, to the councillor, absolutely that parcel could be included with strictly the park's amenities. It was isolated with the mixed-use developments. However, we could, with further iterations of the concept plan, show that 3-acre parcel to the north.
Thank you. And in the report, it talks about that land potentially being conveyed to the town. I was under the impression that that was a done deal, that it was definitely being conveyed to the town. So can you just help me understand that, please?
Go ahead, Mr. Karmazin.
Through you, Mr. Acting Mayor, based on the report and the history and the enactment by council, direction was given to staff to enter into a site plan agreement. At this point in time, that site plan agreement has not been entered into. However, there's been, as detailed out in the background of the report, there is specific criteria that is to be included with a potential site plan agreement with that mixed-use development to the north, including the conveyance of land to the town for community benefit purposes.
Thank you. That helps clarify. I just want to reiterate how much I love concept plan number 1 that has so many great community uses that are so well needed. So thank you for that.
Okay. Councillor Roy DeClemente, you had a comment.
Just to support Mr. Karmazin's efforts with respect to the land to the north on the other side of Judah Doan, it's my understanding that the lands have changed ownership. The agreement that was struck with the town that involved that conveyance of land depended on them executing an agreement with the town, and that agreement has not been executed. So essentially, I believe the new owners are starting back with a fresh slate, and so they are actually quite anxious to hear what our outcomes of this process are, so that they can begin to sort of look at what they're doing. Maybe the housing will go on their side of the road, and that sort of thing. So there's more to come on that respect. And if I may, Mr. Chair, I think this is an exciting process, and I was a little bit shocked at seeing option number 3, but I think it also, given that we would be looking at moving this facility altogether, and I think that requires some visionary thinking, and I wanted to commend staff for literally thinking outside the box. And I'm looking forward to the process as we sort of work through this with the community and sharing these visions. They're all very different and exciting. I would like to see us maybe even engage the community a little bit more with like a contest or some sort of a thing for naming the site. Perhaps, you know, the gardening, the farming, the agricultural, you know, all of that background. I know that that's a good way of, you know, if there's a gift card at stake, that we might get some great ideas from the community to sort of further that, you know, the art, you know, the growth of arts and culture and the nurturing of arts and culture within the context of the agricultural and heritage history of that site. I think has a lot of options for us. So I'm looking forward to that. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other comments or questions? From my perspective, this is very exciting and lots of decisions to be made in the future. I question, Mr. Karmazin, your ambition. You barely have the help done, and you're ready to take this on. You're not even going to take at least take a nap or something. You're going to be jumping in from one big project to another. So good on you for being so ambitious. And I think the town will benefit again. This has been moved by Councillor Roy DiClemente. All those in favour? And it's carried. All right, thank you very much. Let's move on to item number 2, Parks and Recreation Culture Report, PRC 2025-08, Events of Municipal Significance. Mr. Karmazin.
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. This report to Council simply provides some provisions under the Liquor Licensing Act, where if the town is undertaking serving alcohol to the public, an event of municipal significance must be declared by Municipal Council, and this report provides for that. I'd be happy to answer any questions related to the report prepared for Council.
Thank you, Mr. Karmazin. Could I have a mover for this, please? Moved by Councillor Foster. Any questions for Mr. Karmazin? All right, I think we're getting off easy. All right, all those in favor? And it's carried. Thank you very much. Okay, we're moving on to Engineering and Public Works. Next item on the agenda. Councillor Lahey is absent with notice, so I will be chairing this portion of the meeting. Item number 1 is the Engineering and Public Works presentation of Memo, the Fill Bylaw Update. Mr. Molinari, would you walk us through this, please?
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. So the Fill Bylaw Update, staff been working on this update for some time to incorporate best management practices and new legislation. The draft bylaw is being brought forward to receive feedback from Council and the public, and will be returning to Council in the fall with an updated bylaw incorporating that feedback for Council's consideration. So today's really just about receiving it, getting an idea what the bylaw changes are, and then getting some comments from the public. I'd like to pass it off to Mr. Paul Mercer, who looks after the fill program at the town, as well as Mr. Jim Walls from Burnside, who's the town's qualified person and geoscientist, and also our peer review consultant, to provide a presentation on the proposed bylaw update. Jim has extensive experience with large site alteration projects and has prepared site alteration bylaws for a number of municipalities, and is a great resource for presenting this and for updating our bylaw.
Thank you. If you'd like to step up to the lectern.
Good afternoon. My name is Jim Walls. As Mike mentioned, I work for Burnside and I work for EG as your qualified person as defined by Ontario Regulation 15304 and 40619. Next slide, please. So I'll start off, and Paul Mercer will continue at towards the end of this presentation. So we're not anticipating a major change to the bylaw. It's not a complete rewrite, but it is an update. There's been a lot of things that have happened in the past few years, and the bylaw needs to be aligned with those changes. So specifically, the regulatory changes that have occurred under the Municipal Act and the introduction by the provincial government of Ontario Regulation 406-19, the on-site and excess soil management regulation. And that regulation has been quite controversial and has been amended almost every year since it was first brought in. The Ministry of Natural Resources also have amended their regulations, and they will allow filling of their aggregate pits under their aggregate license. Next slide, please. So in addition to 406-19 coming out, there were also changes at the same time with Ontario Regulation 15304, which is the brownfields contaminated sites regulation, and the General Waste Management Regulations 347. So all these regulations were all amended all at the same time because they all interacted with one another. And the current bylaw is a bit out of sync with provincial regulations, so nothing glaring, but it really needs to be revised a bit so everything aligns with provincial regulations. It also does not reflect opportunities for enforcement and cost recovery. We understand that this municipality may be entering into the AMPS process in the near future, and we want the bylaw to reflect the administrative municipal penalty approach that could be used. So we want the wording in it to reflect that possibly coming down the line. And the role of conservation authorities, as you may know, has changed a bit and downloaded responsibilities to the municipality. Now, since the changes to the Municipal Act, there's been dual responsibility over regulated land, so this is not a stretch for East Gwillimbury to take on that role. Next slide, please. So the bylaw officer perspective. The bylaw officers are your team. They're the front lines to using this bylaw and working with the public and dealing with the complaints. And they are in a role where they want to be educators and facilitators and not have to be in the enforcement big stick role. So if the bylaw is well written and the public understands it and is well supported, then chances are you don't have too many things going awry. But when they do, the bylaw officers need a legal document that they can point to that's clear and that will stand up in court. So we want to make some changes to the bylaw's wording that reflect the effectiveness of recent court decisions and the effectiveness of recent municipal bylaws that have been tested in court and how the wording worked for them. The Township of King has had the opportunity to go to court several times with their revised bylaw, which I was involved in, and the York Region prosecuting councillor was involved in providing some of the wording, and they've been very successful. So they get into court quick, and they get out, and then they get out quick because they can get the decisions going their way. So the bylaw officers, their primary role is environmental protection, and if they have to, look after compliance and remediation. So the effective bylaw will help them as a tool on their day-to-day work. The modern bylaw will also help with dovetailing with York Region, whose roles and responsibilities change a bit, especially with respect to looking after water supply, groundwater, and the neighboring municipalities. They're often we see that if you have a strong bylaw, it pushes the unsavory characters to go to your neighbors where things may be a little more lax. So we want to cooperate with your sister municipalities. And of course, RCA, the Lake Simcoe Regional Conservation Authority, to support them in what they're trying to do. They don't have the same tools available to them under regulations as the municipality does. Key in that is the ability of the municipality to put the costs on a property's property tax. And that introduces a whole set of leverage that is available to the municipality, not available to the Conservation Authority to get compliance. Next slide, please. So this has been developed by staff and by consultants such as me to align the wording with the new regulations and also produce a guideline manual. There's already one, we want to update it. And the guideline manual is the thick, wordy document that provides an explanation for all the parts of the bylaw and assists both staff and the public to understand why the bylaw is written as it is. It's not a legal document, but it is referenced in the bylaw and can be updated at any time. And that helps applicants fill out their applications and understand what needs to be done in common everyday language, rather than referring to the bylaw, which sometimes is difficult for the public to understand. As the bylaw gets amended, the fees and charges will be amended as well to align with the different sections of the bylaw and reflect how we want security deposits, fines, and penalties be calculated in line with the new bylaw wording. There'll be new application forms, including a no-charge online questionnaire for minor site alterations. These are situations where the public wants to do something on their property that's minor in nature, but we also want to track it and make sure that they're not doing something that's going to impact their neighbor's drainage. This is a common source of complaints, and if there's a free online process to do this, it would speed things up. Next slide, please. So in summary, updated bylaw prioritizes environmental protection and also includes an outline of how we'll address vac trucks. So OREG 40619 uses the term liquid soil. It's defined in regulation now for the first time, and it's specifically directed at vac trucks that are dealing with liquid soil. So the bylaw will have a wording in there that if people want to manage liquid soil and manage vac truck business, whether it's hauling, dumping, whatever, the bylaw will be able to accommodate that with a permit so that that aspect is controlled within East Gwillimbury. Refinements to definitions, as I said, using the provincially standardized definitions in the bylaw makes it easy when it goes to court that there's no question about the wording or the definition and how it's applied. If you make up your own words, such as dirt or fill, instead of using the terms that are in provincial regulation, it just makes it awkward if you go to litigation. And introduction of the minor site alteration permit process, which is aimed at more small properties and the general public doing things on residential and small rural residential properties. And Paul will speak to that further. Next slide, please. So, Paul, you can speak to that.
Thank you, Jim. As Jim mentioned, there is a new online or new minor permit that is required, will be required. The idea behind this is with minor alterations happening throughout the town, with some being as simple as landscaping or altering, raised gardens. There are chances where they could impact the neighbor's property with drainage issues. So we've introduced the biggest update, which would be the minor permit. The minor permit will apply to all properties and all activity on the property except for top dressing, up to a maximum of 200 cubic meters for larger properties such as multiple acres. The minor permit application will be through a free online questionnaire, which should take less than 5 minutes for residents to complete. As you can see here on the screen, it does include the proposed questions, most of them being contact information, simple questions about what the project is about, how close to the property line are you working, will you be working near wetlands, watercourses, LSRCA regulated lands. The intent for this bylaw, this minor permit, is to help residents understand what could go wrong during their project with their neighbors or with the environment. Our hopes is that with residents applying through this, they'll understand that there are issues that could come up and maybe avoid doing so. Once completed through the 5-minute online questionnaire, residents will be able to receive the permit through email. If there are any issues or any concerns through the online questionnaire, they will be directed to contact staff for further consultation. Next screen, please. Next slide, please. Sorry, I think the slides are out of place here. There should be another one there about public consultation. Oh, there it is, yeah. Thank you. As this is an update to an existing bylaw, we are proposing the following public consultation involving the town's website being the main hub for residents to provide comments, questions, or concerns. This will all be collected and we'll be able to review them thoroughly with staff. We'll be utilizing the town's website as well as social media to update residents on this proposed bylaw and help direct them to the town's website where they can provide their comments. Currently, there's two large fill sites, one being the Mount Albert Pit and the other one being the Overholt Pit. Staff will be discussing with the operators on the new update, as well as how this may or may not affect their operation. Next slide, please. Currently, the schedule is as followed. We're on the fourth line here, presentation of the final draft to council today. Following this, we will be discussing with communications on our proposed public consultations strategy. This will be going out Q2, Q3 of 2025, and we are scheduling to return to council in Q3, Q4 of 2025 for an adoption of the bylaw. That's the end of the presentation. Do you have any questions for Jim or myself?
Thank you very much, gentlemen. Could I have a mover to receive this Phil bylaw update? Moved by Councillor Roy DiClemente. Are there any questions from committee on this? Councillor Roy DiClemente.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you to Mr. Walls. I'm actually really happy to see that we're bringing this back and updating it to especially with respect to the enforcement on Conservation Authority lands. I don't know if committee is aware, but East Gwillimbury has the most enforcement files open with the LSRCA across the entire watershed. So that's it's a dubious honor in that we've got a lot of people who are trying to pull a fast one, but at the same time it also means that our residents are very much aware of this issue and they're wanting to see matters addressed. So being able to actually lay charges and enforce our bylaw is important. I'm a little bit concerned about the MNR's changes to allow fill into aggregate sites. It used to be that they had to surrender their license before they could allow fill. So I'm just concerned about what the MNR is doing to allow our bylaw talks about source sites and testing and soil tables and things like that. What is the MNR doing? Are they also enforcing those sorts of things to make sure that the fill that they're putting back into these sites is also clean or safe?
Well, the MNR has to, and the gravel pits have to follow the Ontario Regulation 40619, which is so they have to follow all the testing and all the rigor that's involved in that. And it can only apply to sites that have an existing aggregate license, hasn't been surrendered yet. And I was on a committee with the Ontario Society of Professional Engineers, OPSI, to write a best management practices for the backfilling of pits and quarries. And that's being referenced as a standard document to use when you're backfilling pits and quarries. So it's a document that the MNR, it's not regulation, but it's a best management practice that the MNR is pointing to, that they expect people that are backfilling pits and quarries to follow. The MNR claims to be short-staffed, and they have some challenges in getting around to all the pits that are being backfilled. They also have challenges in that their technical expertise of their staff was more focused on aggregate resources and not the MOE, the Ministry of Environment sort of focus on environmental protection and understanding contamination and things like that. So that part of it has been a bit of a challenge. What we're finding is that when a quarry goes to get a an approval to backfill it, they have to do what's called a significant amendment. And that opens up the scrutiny of the public, which would include the municipality, to be able to provide input at that point in time. And we trust and hope that the MNR takes those comments from the public and from the municipality into consideration when they issue their revised approval for the aggregate site permit to operate as a fill site. So it's good news, but it's not 100% great news, and the municipality doesn't have a lot of control over those situations, but we can certainly keep an eye on it, and there's no harm in calling the Ministry of Environment should there be a concern that the filling is offside with OREG 40619.
I think that's actually one of the areas of greatest risk to our community. And you know, those aggregate sites that are in operation right now who are extracting are creating a community impact, and we don't have the ability to engage aside from, you know, a noise bylaw here or there. And for them to, at least that there's an application process that allows them to flip the switch from extraction to filling, but at the same time, that oversight is an area of concern. If there's something that you think that we can do to sort of support that, and for me, it's an area of risk because we don't have the ability to have folks like you and Paul to oversee the way that we do with the commercial sites that we have on site.
It is a fair concern, but it's a provincial responsibility, and hopefully they fulfill that responsibility. But it's certainly well within your right to be calling the Ministry of Environment and the Ministry of Natural Resources on a regular basis should you see something that's of concern. And I know from personal experience that they take their municipalities and regions very serious. When they make a call, they listen. So we're usually pretty successful in getting the Ministry of Environment to come out to sites.
Wonderful. If I may, Mr. Chair, the provision of source water protection that sort of lies with, at least here with the LSRCA, how does this connect in with all of the fill and the regulations?
It's very closely related because here in this municipality, groundwater is a source of water supply for your people, and so everything is focused on water protection, groundwater protection. So Regulation 40619 has a whole series of tables of what quality of soil can be placed in pits and quarries, and the closer it is to the groundwater or the presence of potable groundwater means that the only soil that is legally allowed to be placed is of very good quality that's not going to impact the groundwater. So the bylaw and the fill permit process that we have here and that we've been monitoring at the Mount Albert pit and the Overholt pit so far has been designed specifically to make sure that there's no impact to groundwater.
Thank you. And I'm just, as far as the biggest change, which is the minor site alteration permit, I know that our community is going to have some questions as far as what that means for them, and is this a municipal best practice? Is this been done elsewhere? I see the need for it, and I understand the rationale behind it, but obviously we're going to need to undertake some communication around what that looks like, and making sure that people understand why it's being asked, simply because it's a service that we're offering, or that we're going to be offering our community. If you've got questions, here's how you engage with the process. So thank you, Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Are there any other comments or questions? So for me, I welcome these changes because I'm glad to see that it's being updated to reflect changes in provincial legislation. And I share my colleague, Councillor Roy DeClemente's concerns about enforcement. I'm not surprised that we have the most enforcement files open for the LSRCA. I think most of them are in my ward. So I'm very mindful of the residents' perception out there that because of the lack of teeth some of our enforcement has today, it almost gives the appearance that the town has a tacit approval of these illegal, dumpings that are going on. So my question to you is, in your opinion, will these changes improve the teeth and the tools that we have to bring proper enforcement for illegal activities in our
Oh, yeah,
town?
that's the major focus, and that's what we find that, the public really wants to see. They want to make it easy for people that are doing things right, but they want to see that the fines, the penalties, and the ease of which they can be applied is there for bylaw when they have to use them.
Okay, great news. Okay, unless there's no further questions, I will call the vote on this. Moved by Councillor Roy DiClemente. All those in favor? And that is carried. Thank you very much, gentlemen. And we will move on to item 2. It's the Joint Engineering, Public Works, and Parks and Recreation and Culture Report, EPW 2025-06, sole source auxiliary energy related to a federal grant award. Mr. Molinari, are you taking charge of this?
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. I know that is a mouthful, that title, so apologize for that, but it is what it is. So in 2024, staff were made aware of a federal grant for EV charging stations, and a capital budget sheet was put together and approved through the 2025 capital budget, which supports the project with input from Aux Energy. Aux Energy is a subsidiary of Hydro One that specializes in this type of charging infrastructure. They're also very good at preparing grant applications, and they are uniquely capable of working with Hydro One on any required power upgrades to support the infrastructure, unlike many others that may have that are in the business. So a staff team, including PRC, EPW, and Finance, worked with Aux Energy to scope the project, and Aux Energy prepared and submitted the grant application with no cost commitment to the town. The grant application was approved, and staff are recommending that the town proceed with two level 3 EV chargers and building upgrades to the operations center, as well as 2 level 2 chargers at the Civic Center. So Aux Energy would provide design and project management services to support the many components of the project, including the tendering of necessary building upgrades and supply and install of charging stations. So happy to answer any questions.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Molinari. Can we just have a mover for this? Moved by Councillor Carruthers. Thank you. Are there any questions? Okay, I see none. I will. Oh, sorry, Councillor Roy DiClemente. Please go ahead.
Just a short one this time. Absolutely, totally good with all of the presentation and the rescoping of the project. Delighted to see it moving forward and to see the further electrification of our fleet, knowing that it's sort of coming down the road. I guess, given the tremendous impact to municipal infrastructure that took place over the past couple of weeks with the ice storm and the impact to hydro infrastructure, I'm just wondering if we've given some thought to the risk mitigation of relying too heavily on hydro infrastructure for our municipal fleet.
Mr. Molinari.
Thank you, and through you, Mr. Acting Chair. This is an area that's going to evolve. So whenever there's an incident significant like loss of power, the town tries to have backup systems in place to be able to mitigate against that. So the operations center has backup generator. That generator, whether it's sufficiently sized to accommodate all this, those are things that we'll have to make sure. But going forward, we need as we are an emergency response agency, we need to be able to have belts and suspenders on all of our programs and being able to manage issues out in the community without power, without water, without, when we do those exercises, all those scenarios get thrown at us, and we need to have backup systems in place to accommodate that. So the first step is getting the infrastructure, which we need in order to support the electric vehicles. And the second part of that is building redundancy. And those sorts of things may not be on day one, but they will be part of our plan going forward. And I don't know, Mr. Meggett, if you want to add anything to that, but that's kind of where we're at.
Thank you. Any other questions from committee? Mr. Molinari, from my perspective, I was looking at some of the price tags on the chargers, and I was just, I'll say I'm hopeful that maybe during the procurement process, those prices might drop, and this is, you've calculated a worst-case scenario. Would that be fair to say?
Through you, Mr. Acting Mayor. So the prices that's in there, it's not, the pricing is not just for charging stations. There is upgrades to the building that are required to bring power in to support that infrastructure. And those projects will be tendered. So there will be, there's potential for cost savings. It'll be fair market value for that infrastructure. And with all of our projects, we hope with a little bit of competition that we get good pricing when it comes in. So any of those remaining funds in that budget will be returned to the source. So.
Okay, thank you. Thank you very much for that. I agree. It's important that, we have the infrastructure in place. That's been the chief criticism about going to electric vehicles is the lack of infrastructure. So we're doing our part. I think that's good. Just curious what you thought the payback period on this might be, if that's been calculated or not.
Through you, Mr. Mayor. We actually did a quick calculation on that. Through Mr. Meggett's office, figures that there's about just over $20,000 per vehicle savings over the vehicle's service life, approximately 7, 8 years, somewhere in there. And given that this particular project is about just over $100,000 per charger, we're estimating that we would need roughly 4 vehicles through their full service life to pay for this infrastructure. And if we have more than 4 vehicles, then that payback is sooner. But we already have 2, and I would suspect over the next couple of years we will have a few more. So this positions us very well. And actually, from a dollars and cents perspective, this is actually a really good time to put this in place so that it's available for use, and the payback period is reasonable.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Are there any other questions? So the full motion is that we receive this report, that we award the sole source contract to Ox Energy, and that the General Manager of Engineering and Public Works be authorized to execute the necessary agreements, and that this report be ratified at Council this evening. Okay? All those in favor? Okay, and we are carried. All right, and on to the last item on Public Works. That is the Engineering Public Works Memo 2024 Annual Fill Program Site Alteration Update. Who will be handling this one? Back to you again, Mr. Molinari. All right, take her away.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Acting Mayor. So I guess in terms of placement, we could have probably dealt with this one after the first report, but anyway, here we are. This is our annual fill program update for 2024. Just some of the highlights for Council's information. In terms of large-scale pit operators, Mount Albert Pit was the only large-scale pit that operated in 2024. Others are in town, but actually didn't have any fill brought in in that year. And we estimate, based on current filling volumes, that there's probably somewhere in the order of about 5 more years of pit operation at Mount Albert Pit until it reaches its design capacity. In terms of small fill operations, which would be less than 10,000 cubic meters in size, activity levels are generally gradually returning to pre-pandemic levels. And that's really a function of what's happening out in the construction activity, et cetera, out in the community. In terms of non-compliant fill operations, there were 8 non-compliant sites that were brought into compliance by staff. 8 sites fell under LSRCA jurisdiction, and 5 of those sites are working with LSRCA to achieve compliance as we speak. 11 sites were investigated for compliance and were deemed to be exempt from the bylaw. So you know, there's a fair number of, a lot of the work that happens in this area is kind of bringing sites into compliance. Oftentimes people don't realize they're even doing something that's in contravention of the bylaw. So it is a lot of work in order to just work with the community to bring that into compliance. There were 3 aggregate extraction sites continuing to operate under the Ministry of Northern Development, Mines, Natural Resources and Forestry. We just say MNR for short, but that is the technical name. And those were the Strata sites, a site on McCowan Road, CRH Canada on Mount Albert Road, and JF Kitching and Sons on Kennedy Road. And happy to answer any questions.
Thank you for that, Mr. Molinari. Could I have a mover for that? Mr. Foster, Councillor Foster, thank you. Are there any questions on this memorandum? Okay, seeing none, I will ask for the vote. All those in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. Mr. Molinari, do you have anything else that you'd like to add for Council's consumption?
I do. I have one item, and that's the mosquito control program is going to be starting up on Thursday. So helicopter applications will start in Holland Landing and work its way over to Mount Albert. So that program that we do every year will be starting this week.
Could I have someone move to receive that verbal? Moved by Councillor Carruthers. Thank you. Do committee have any questions for Mr. Molinari? Seeing none? Oh, one more. One more.
Sorry, Mr. Acting Mayor. I do have one more, and I just wanted to, for Council's information, today will be the last council meeting that Mr. Paul Newman is with the town. So I just wanted to formally thank Paul for his contributions over the years. He's provided some great feedback and advice for council on a number of things. You may not have known it was him, but he was doing a lot of that work to provide that information. I just wanted to thank him at council for his contributions to the town.
Well said. And can I have a mover to receive that report with the council's grateful thanks? Moved by Councillor Foster. All those in favor? Carried. Thank you. Okay. We're on to item I, and that's finance, and I've been asked to chair this as well. So we'll move on to item number 1. The finance report 2025-02, development charge deferral policies. Mr. Marshall, will you be taking charge of this?
Through you, Mr. Chair, yes, I will be. So the first report that we have has 2 deferral policies for council's or for committee's consideration. If you recall, a representative from Kelson made a deputation to committee looking for deferral of development charges on their proposed expansion. Staff was asked to develop a policy framework to support this request. The staff has drafted a deferral policy, and the deferral policy is recommending a 3-year deferral on development charge expansions to existing non-residential developments. Payment of development charges would be due 3 years after building permit issuance at the rate in effect at that time. And this would be done to help existing businesses in EG expand their facilities. The second policy is more administrative in nature, and it's here to help clarify the town's existing practice on how we collect development charges on water and wastewater development charges for unserviced lots. So right now, if a development is being built on private servicing, we would not collect the water and wastewater development charge until the development actually connects. So this policy is here just to clarify that treatment. So I'm happy to answer any questions on either one of those.
Thank you, Mr. Marshall. Can I have a a mover to receive this report, please? Councillor Foster, thank you. Are there any questions about it? Okay. Thank you, Mr. Marshall, for preparing this. I think this is exactly what we need to be doing to help entice and assist small and medium-sized businesses in our town. So thank you for your help on this. Be it resolved, the finance report FIN 2025-02 dated April 17, 2025, entitled Development Charges Deferral Policies be received, and the council approve the development charge deferral policies as attached Appendix 1 and Appendix 2 of report FIN 2025-02, and that report FIN 2025-02 be forwarded to York Region's Finance Department for their information. All those in favor? Okay, carried. Thank you very much. Now on to item number 2, Finance Memo Statement of Development Charge Reserve Funds. Mr. Marshall, back to you.
Thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair. This is a report that's required annually under the Development Charges Act, and it provides a summary of development charge activity throughout the year. So I'm happy to answer any questions on it.
Okay, could I have a mover for this, receive this report? Moved by Councillor Roy DiClemente. Thank you. Are there any questions for Mr. Marshall? You might be getting off lucky today. Okay, see no questions. Moved by Councillor Roy DiClemente. Be it resolved that the finance memorandum dated April 15, 2025, entitled 2024 Statement of Development Charge Reserve Funds be received. All in favor? And that is carried. Okay, it is 3:20 at this moment. I'm wondering if committee would like to take a brief 5-10 minute recess, or would you like to plow through? Let's take. I'm getting nothing back from my colleagues here. So let's take a 5-minute recess if we could, and a quick 5-minute recess, and we'll be back afterwards. All in favor? All right, move. All right, we're back. Next item on the agenda is J, Development Services, with Councillor Roy D. Clemente in the chair. Over to you, Councillor.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. We have two prepared items on our agenda. The first one is a memorandum regarding a proposed zoning bylaw amendment application for 21383 Woodbine Avenue. Mr. Krubnik, would you like to provide any further comments on this one for us?
Thank you very much, Madam Chair. Through you, correct, this is a memo before council for a zoning bylaw amendment. The application was deemed complete at the end of March of this year. And now we will be bringing forward a recommendation report in due course. In the meantime, though, there will be a number of reviews going on by internal and external agencies. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Krubnik. Any questions? Actually, what I should do is ask if anyone would like to move this. Move receipt, moved by Councillor Crone. Anyone have questions for this? Seeing none, all those in favor? And that motion carries. Thank you. Our next item on our agenda is another memorandum regarding a site plan control application for 17743 McCowan Road. Looks like zoning is in place and now we're just working through the site plan. May I have a mover? Moved by Councillor Carruthers. And Mr. Krubnik, anything to add to this memorandum?
Thank you, Madam Chair. Nothing to add to this item. Thank you.
Okay. Any questions on this one? Seeing none. All those in favor? And that motion carries. Thank you. And that brings us to the end of our prepared agenda. Mr. Krubnik, did you have anything further to add today?
Thank you. Nothing to add today, Madam Chair.
Okay, thank you. Anything from members of committee? Seeing none, I'll turn the chair back to you, Mr. Acting Mayor.
Thank you very much. And we are on to item K, which is Legal and Legislative Services. In the absence of Mayor Haxon, I'll chair this portion. We have item one, just one item, Legal and Legislative Services Memo, Outstanding Council Items List, Q1 2025. And Clerk Lajovardi, you wanted to take care of this?
Thank you, Mr. Acting Mayor. Through you to you. This is a routine update on the outstanding items list, which is reported to Council twice a year. The criteria that was used to prepare the list are items which received Council direction for staff to report back as part of the resolution. I'm happy to answer any questions in relation to this particular memo itself. However, if there are questions regarding the specific status updates noted within the memo itself, it should be directed to the respective general managers.
Okay. Thank you very much. Could I have a mover for this, please? Councillor Carruthers, thank you. And are there any questions? Councillor Carruthers, go ahead.
Thank you very much, and thank you to staff for preparing this for us. It's very helpful to go back and look at where we're at on some of these things. Otherwise, stuff falls between the cracks. So it's good to have this. I'm wondering if, before it comes back to us again, if we could just have a little bit more eyes on it. There's a few things that are outdated, saying it's going to report back at the end of 2024, things like that. Other ones, there's one in here that doesn't have a timeline on it. The short-term rentals, it says it's in the bylaw review process, but there's no timeline on that. So if we can make sure that we're very clear on what the next steps are, I don't need them right now, but if we could have it for next time. Advisory committees, for instance, it doesn't say what the next steps are, when we're expecting that. So Q4, but what are we looking to see in Q4? So if we can just put a little more detail, that would be much appreciated. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Are there any other questions or comments? Councillor Foster.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The one thing that jumped out at me was the item number 5, sorry, not number 5. The Veterans Crosswalk. We have that down there for Q3 of 2025. I'm just concerned that Q3 is going to put us in a time crunch to actually make that happen for November. I'm just wondering if there's any more information or if we can kind of push that one ahead a little bit quicker. Thank you.
Who would like to tackle that one? Mr. Carmison?
Through you, Mr. Acting Mayor, certainly we could expedite that. We would likely propose locations where we have existing banner poles. So it would be more of a fabrication exercise for the actual banners going up on the poles versus erecting new poles at new locations.
Okay. Any other questions or comments? Okay, seeing none. Be it resolved that the Legal and Legislative Services Memorandum dated April 15, 2025, entitled Outstanding Council's Items List Q1 be received. Moved by Laura Lee Carruthers. All in favor? That is carried. Thank you very much. And under items L, M, and N, we do not have anything to report at this time. But under other business, we have the upcoming council workshop. I believe the clerk and our CEO would like to talk to this, so I hand it over to you, Madam Clerk.
Sure, thank you. Through you, Mr. Chair, the upcoming workshop will be focused on emergency management as the topic that's been identified for May 13th.
Okay, any other questions or comments about that? Okay, seeing none, we are now falls to item P, adjournment. Be it resolved that the meeting of the Committee of the Whole Council adjourn at 3:39 p.m. Can I have a mover for this? Moved by Councillor Terry Roy de Clemente. All in favor? Carried. Thank you very much, everyone. This was an efficient meeting. Thank you.